So today, we are so excited. I'm Jazz with the Jazz Show Real Estate Team, and today we have literally our favorite lender here with us, Brandon Fico with K&B Mortgage.
K&B Capital.
I'm sorry, K&B Capital. I kind of actually like that.
But you said my last name right.
Yeah,
so
Fico.
good,
yeah, I got the last name right. So we're going to talk about the few questions that keep on trending. And a lot of the buyers right now in the real estate industry, they're asking for 2-in-1 buy down from the seller, which is making their payments more competitive. And a lot of the buyers are also asking for different programs in California that are doing down payment assistance. So Brandon Fico is here to help kind of shed some light on those different topics.
Sure.
So I guess the first one, we can actually talk about our specific story about the 2-in-1 buy down, but if you have a story that you want to share with the audience that was really helpful and just kind of explaining how it works.
Yeah, so basically the 2-in-1 buy down, and they have other mixtures of that, like a 1-1 buy down. So it's just that you're buying it down for 1 year. A 2-1, you're buying it down for 2 years by 2%. The next year is 1%. And then it goes to your regular fixed quote. So as the example today, you had me talk to your client yesterday.
Right.
And so the rate is 6.625. For the first year, it will be 4.625. I said 6.625, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you got it. You got it.
Okay. So then the first year, it'll be 4.625. And then the second year, it'll be 5.625. So basically that's a total savings for that borrower of, when you look at the payment difference,
right,
it's saving him about $22,000 in 2 years. Okay. Awesome. So here's how the buy down works. What we do is we actually have the seller pay that $22,000. Okay. So that the seller's going to give a seller credit of $22,000.
Yes.
And that basically they're subsidizing those first 2 years for the borrower. So if they think maybe rates are going to come down probably by the end of the year, hopefully, more than likely, we still do anticipate that. Or even by next year, they'll probably be even lower.
Right.
So at that point, we can go ahead and refinance.
Yes.
And get you lock in that lower rate. And so therefore, you do not lose that 22 grand, even if we refinance before that 2 years up, because what's going to happen is the current lender, they're going to do a principal reduction of the difference of that amount. So whatever's left. So when we pay off that existing one, let's say you have $10,000 unused.
Right.
So they'll just subtract that from the payoff. If you owe $1 million, now you owe 990 on that payoff,
sense.
and then so you actually get to keep that money.
You
don't lose it.
Oh, see, that's wonderful.
Yeah. I wanted to go over the 1-1 buy down as well.
1-1 buy down.
So the 1-1 buy down, the banks are kind of starting to promote a little bit because it costs way less. Obviously, you're not saving as much, so you're only buying it down 1%. So what I'm kind of seeing, on a typical purchase 800, you may save like $7,000 or something like that. So that way it only costs $7,000. So you're only asking 7,000 seller concessions.
Right.
And then one of my lenders also on top of that. So if you do the 1-1, so now instead of 6.5, you're at 5.5. So you get that lower rate for the first year. Banking, that rates are probably going to be in the 5s again, so we'll refinance you in a year from now or what have you. And one of my lenders too that I use a lot, they are giving away free appraisals if you do the 1-1.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of cool.
That's good,
that's like a $650 savings or something. So so the 1-1, I think it's not a bad choice, So.
Yeah, that's a great choice. And then you get your appraisal paid for, and you get the 1 point down for the year, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's 6.625, then 5.625 for the year.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so
awesome.
Obviously you're not buying it down to 4.625 and getting the bigger savings, but also you don't have to go to the seller and ask for much more money. So,
exactly. So it works its way.
Exactly.
Works out
for sure. So.
That's awesome. I like that one. The 1-1 buy down, guys.
The difference, what we do a lot as well, is we'll buy the rate down by a little bit.
Yeah.
So let's say if you pay 2 points to buy that rate down, you're only going to buy the rate by maybe, it just kind of depends on where pricing is, but let's maximum a half.
Right.
Okay. So instead of getting 4.625, you're getting maybe 6 1/8, 6 1/4, and you're only saving maybe like, who knows, like let's say $1,200, you know, for the year.
For the year, yeah.
Or yeah, it could be more than that. I'm not doing the math in my head right now, but so your savings is way greater in the beginning because we are kind of anticipating rates getting better, and we're in a high interest rate environment right now.
Absolutely.
And we all know things are cyclical. They're going to eventually come down, even though it seems like it might be scary and rates are going to be up here forever. I've doing this for 20 years. I've never seen that be the case. So.
Right. And it's interesting too, because we were just talking about how from 2022 to 2023, there were 11 rate hikes. And even 6 months ago when we were listing properties, it was at 8-9%. And now that we're hovering, you know, around the high sixes, 3% is a really big difference. So it is getting better.
Yeah.
And we remain hopeful, which is nice because real estate, of course, boosts the economy more than pretty much anything else does. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
In 2008, real estate's what crashed the economy. So.
That's a good point too. Yeah. So that's a wonderful thing. Is it's cyclical and we're on our way up again. And well, real estate necessarily. It's interesting that you say that it crashed the economy, but it seems like that was more of the lenders that were
loans.
The loans
that crashed real estate.
Exactly. So it wasn't real estate. It was the lending. It was that little weird gray area. But no, now we're in a really, really good place. And so I kind of wanted to touch on the requirements of, like, for instance, the Calfha or the Dream. The Dream for All.
Dream for All, sure. So they're releasing the Dream for All, I believe April 1st is what they're saying.
Yeah.
You have to kind of go online and, fill out an application, and not everybody's going to get picked for it. Of
course, absolutely.
The other caveat is your parents had to have not owned a home in the last 7 years. There's income limits on them as well.
Right.
And obviously you as the borrower cannot have owned a home within the last
7 years? Or is it 5 years?
It's 3 years.
Oh, 3. Okay, so that's
technically you are a first-time home buyer if you have not owned a home in 3 years. So I do have to double check that. So
yes, but
if I'm wrong, I'll cut this out.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're right, leave it in, because again, in learning these new programs that are being issued, it's like you're doing your due diligence and learning so that we can help more buyers.
Absolutely.
Procure the American dream. So
yes.
So there's income requirements.
So income limits are kind of
limits. I should
say.
So
I don't have those off the top of my head, but
yes.
I know LA. I think it can go up to around 150 in LA.
Yeah,
County
I thought I saw
like
180.
If
I could also be wrong.
Could be
cut
that
out.
too. Yeah, I'm not even sure. I haven't sat down, and I probably will never memorize all the income limits in my head.
Yeah.
So I have to read, and
right.
when that situation comes up, I will look at, okay, we're in this county. This is your income limit. So
got it. Makes sense.
Ventura, I think, is a little less. Typically is, just like the high balance loan amounts in LA are higher versus Ventura County.
Yeah, and also the taxes are higher in LA than Ventura County too. So
exactly.
It kind of
for sure.
Yeah, levels out in a sense.
Yeah. So let's see, what else would be on that? I mean, that's the gist of it. There's a couple little things, but I think that's kind of a good overview of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you also have just the regular down payment assistance programs. They're available. I feel like if you can have your relatives gift it to you.
Oh, yeah, the gift limits.
Yes,
yeah, that's another great one.
Because if you can, let's say, have them gift you 3% or so.
Right.
Then you don't need to get it from Calfha, and you're going to have better interest rates, and it's going to save you some money that way. That's going to be your best case. Now, if you don't have that option, then, okay, we go Calfha. Now, the rate, let's say the going rate is 6.5 and no points, no fees on a regular mortgage. It may be around 6.5, but that includes like 1.5 or so. Okay,
right.
So that's why it's a little more expensive. Maybe around the same rates, but you're going to have to pay a little bit up front.
Right.
Typically.
Need more capital.
Yeah, exactly. And
what
then,
are the gift limits?
The gift limits of, I mean, you can get a full gift of 3%.
So like 30,000, just
or 3.5% if you're going FHA or what have you.
okay, got it. Okay.
And that's, again, I not speaking from a CPA or
Of course, yeah.
tax thing, but as far as on the lending side, we can receive 100% gift funds for down payments on those. If you're a first-time home buyer. And we would typically do those 3% or 3.5%, and then if your income's in a certain bracket as well on those.
Right.
So that's kind of, where it's at. So
that's where it's at. Okay, that's really. I'm trying to think if there's anything else because I think you touched on some great things. Just to recap, so the dream loan, one of the parents. The first-time buyer, you're considered a first-time buyer after 3 years if you haven't owned a home in 3 years. And then one of your parents could not have owned a home in the last 7 years.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, and then the income limits depends on the county that you're in. And then as far as the Calfha, because it seems like there's kind of some overlap, like the requirements are kind of similar.
Yeah,
same idea.
Same idea. Yeah, they're just kind of expanding it because we didn't even talk about what that down payment is for that.
Exactly.
So they're actually, it's an equity share. Okay, they are giving 20%, up to 20% down. They'll give up to, I believe it's $100,000 is or it might be 150. What have you heard?
Yeah, I heard 100.
100?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's 100. I think that's correct. So they'll give up to $100,000 down, up to 20%. And what happens? It's slightly confusing how to break it down. I'd have to kind of show you in writing.
Yeah.
But you're sharing a certain amount of equity.
Well, and I mean, again, there's the requirements, but if you can do it, I mean, I know that when it happened last year. The dream for all was really only a dream for few, but
and
the money
like 2
was
weeks.
the money was used up very, very quickly. And in California, obviously the average price home is a lot different than if you're in a different state, so
true.
It gets eaten up pretty fast.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Good luck finding a property at $500,000.
Exactly.
So maybe you won't get quite the 20% down, but they'll still give you, enough money, like $100,000.
Exactly.
And
it's still money.
It may only be, say, 10% of your purchase price, which is still very helpful.
Oh, 100%.
So,
Yeah.
You're not
It is
capped
still
in.
it is still helpful. So, yeah, that's awesome. I think we kind of touched on a few of the topics. We don't want to confuse everybody, but those are the most trending questions that I'm getting right now.
Okay.
The 2-in-1, the Calfha, and Dream.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that we're good. So, well, thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions, you can reach out. I think Brandon Fico is going to leave all of his information, and you can also reach out to me, Josh Show Real Estate Group, and we will give you all the information as well. K&B Capital, right?
K&B Capital.
Okay,
yes,
K&B Capital.
And you can email me, brandon@knbcapital.com. You can find me all over online.
We tag him all the time too. We tag him. We have his number. You can reach out to us. We're Joshua Real Estate Team at gmail.com, so you can reach out to us. Perfect. And we'll leave everything in the intro as well.
Cool.
Too. We'll tag you and leave all the information.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, this is awesome. We got to continue doing this.
Yeah, for sure.